Yes?
So, you have a very singular experience of being an author who has all of these people who feel like they know you and read your books. Could you just talk about that a little?
Well, if you don't feel like you know me, you do. And that is weird. Right. So this is a serious question, and I don't know the answer to it, and I haven't puzzled through it very much. But because you've spent or a lot of you have spent 20 or 22 hours looking at my face, and I mean, you've heard me say almost everything that I have to say, and almost anything that happens to me you find out about it, and almost, you know, every day basically, if we're not talking in video, then we're talking in text in some way. I post comments on YouTube or post on the Ning every single day for the last 2 years. And as a result of that, you know me in ways that when you read the book, you will connect things in the book to me. And I worry that you would, I hope that you don't, that stuff doesn't draw you out of the narrative. It doesn't draw you out of the story and call attention to the fact that this book was written by somebody, because that is bad. I don't want that. I don't think that's helpful when you're reading a novel. To be drawn out of the story and be conscious of the fact that the book was made by someone. You know? I don't want that at all. And I worry about that. I do. But there's also kind of nothing I can do about it. You know, Sarah made me that Woody Guthrie poster that appears in the book. But I've been obsessed with that Woody Guthrie poster since I was 19. And I cut that. Yes. I cut the Woody Guthrie poster out of both of my previous books, and I finally got it in. Yeah. That and this. Oh, the other thing, I cut the same 2 lines of E. Cummings poetry out of everything I write. And I think I've got it in this new the book I'm writing with David. You should, yeah, totally. So I think we have the same editor. I think I do worry about that. At the same time, I think that the familiarity can, in a way, increase your feeling for the voice or your affinity for the voice. So maybe it's not all bad. I don't quite have it puzzled through yet, but I'm certainly interested in it, and I'm interested as we go along to see how it does. How does it do with? I mean, most of the people who are reading it now, honestly, do watch the video blog. So how does it do if and when people who don't watch the video blog read it? If you recommend it to your friends. Okay, a couple more questions. Yes.
I think all of your characters have been only children in your novel?
Yeah.
So is there going to be a sibling ever?
No, it's because I hate my brother. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I think I don't know why. It's almost like that is too emotional for me. Why are you laughing? Poor Hank, right?
Hank's rehearsal dinner.
Oh yeah, Hank's rehearsal dinner speech was all about that, and it was hilariously funny. Can you recall it in any?
You write books, and I've never read them.
Yeah. Yeah, the main characters never have brothers. I think it's. I mean, at least in the books I've written so far, I didn't want them to be about sibling relationships, and I think it's really, really hard to write sibling relationships without it being about that. And just thematically, what I wanted to do wasn't about families really. I had a pretty good family life, so I never thought about it that much. That's the worst thing about being a mom or a dad, right? Is if you do well, then you'll just be totally ignored in the future. It's like a good font, you know, you disappear. That's my therapist always wants me to talk about my parents, and I'm like, that is not the problem. Can we please talk about how mean everyone was to me in 4th grade? That's what did this. I mean, they were fine. You know, they were totally supportive. All right. Yes.
You had talked about WBEZ for a second.
Yeah.
What is your favorite program to listen to on NPR?
Oh, well, I miss 848 a lot. I love 848. But I like everybody. I love This American Life, and I like all things. I mean, I like all their news programming. I think is extremely strong. So there's nothing I don't listen to that I can think of. I like the Diane Rehm show and Talk of the Nation. I even like Talk of the Nation. You know, even though it's 3 hours long. So. Yes.
How did you get to this place where you're primarily a writer? Like, what was kind of the path that got you here?
First, Amy gave me $20 to write that piece for BZ, and then it all sort of snowballed from there. I think I framed that check. I don't think I ever cashed it. How did I get to be a writer? Like the path was this. I was working at Booklist. I got a job as a temp at Booklist when I stopped being a chaplain at a children's hospital and moved to Chicago. I got a job as a temp, just like doing data entry. They kept me on because it was cheaper to keep me on than keep me as a temp. And then Amy wrote me an email about Writer's Block Party. Or like somehow that email got passed along to me for me to do something about, and I was like, "Are you Amy Krauss Rosenthal who wrote all that stuff I love?" And she was like, "Oh, I am." And then I tried to be funny in my emails back to her, and then she asked me if I had anything that was a minute long, and I was like, "Absolutely." And then I went home and I wrote something that was a minute long, and I sent it to her, and she said yes. And so that's how that side of things happened. And then the novel I wrote at night and on the weekends for 4 years. Like I wrote it, as Shannon can attest, like I wrote a lot of it in the basement of that apartment. Yeah, Shannon still has that computer, she says. I sold it to her when I left Chicago for like $25. Deal of a lifetime. You should sell it on eBay now, like the book Alaska was written on. So yeah, for $26. Yeah, and once I'd finished Alaska, I had a mentor at Booklist, Eileen Cooper, who's a novelist for children, and I had Eileen read it, and she wrote me a long letter about all the things I should do differently, and so I rewrote it, and I rewrote it for about 2 years, and then when Eileen read it again, and she said, "I think it's pretty good," and then I sent it off, and someone bought it like 6 months later, and that makes it sound fast, but when it's happening, it's slow. And then I just quit my job without any income because I was getting married and Sarah was moving. We were moving to New York, and so I started working for this magazine called Mental Floss for a while just to have a job. And there was a great magazine, very supportive of me, and allowed me to write some at night again, still, and on the weekends. And then once, about 6 months after Alaska came out, like I figured I could quit. I signed a new contract for An Abundance of Catherines and Paper Towns, and I quit. And then. Since then I've just been sort of scrambling, video blogging and whatever. Yeah, so I can do it for a little while longer at least. So. It's a good job. Yeah.
Okay, I'm a film student at Paul.
Okay.
And I'm really interested in like how you feel about your books being made into movies. Because I know at this point, like, they're all like potentially being made into movies.
Yeah, Paper Towns just now, yeah.
Kind of. Like, personally, I would be afraid that it would just get ruined and then, like, the whole...
Yeah, well, it will get ruined. I mean, there's no ambiguity in that. Like, you sign on for it to get ruined, I think. But you have to reconcile yourself to the idea of it being ruined. So, I think this is the last question I'll answer, but then I'll answer your questions while we sign quickly so they can reopen the bookseller and go back to business. And thank you, by the way, for closing. Jeez. No pressure. Please buy some books.
Sandwiches back in the day there.
That's true. There's pretty good markup on those turkey sandwiches I've had, so it probably worked out. And wine. I mean, at the end of my writing period, I would have, once my turkey sandwich was done, then I would have a glass of wine. It's a great question, though. So, my first book, Looking for Alaska, was bought by Paramount, which is a big movie company, and Josh Schwartz, the guy who created Gossip Girl and the OC, wrote the screenplay, and I kind of liked the screenplay, actually, and I thought it was pretty funny, but then they didn't make it because they thought it was too quiet, which I don't know if they read my book before they bought it. There's not really a way to fix that. It's a quiet little book. And like it doesn't have car chases or Transformers in it, like duh. And like good luck inserting them. And I don't know that they'll ever make it, but I think that that's probably good. Certainly they shouldn't make it there, and I don't think they want to. Everyone who worked there when they bought it has since left, so that speaks to how well it's gone. And then Catherine's was optioned by a very small company, and we'll see if they can put together the right people around it. And Paper Towns, which just was optioned yesterday, so I don't have an opinion on it yet.